Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Founders Roadmap. I'm your host, as usual, Morgan Swank from RCS Professional Services, but you probably already knew that. Today I have an amazing guest. I'm positive if you know who we are, you definitely know who she is, but I'll give an introduction anyway, even though there's no need for an introduction for her. Esther Deutch actually hired me onto here, but we'll get to that later. She's a senior partner, success manager at Net at Work. She drives collaboration through MSP Link, enabling MSPs and VCIOs to elevate their strategic conversations. She's a published author, an educator, a DEI advocate. She's committed to championing inclusive innovation in the tech space. She's also a super networker, and I'm not the only person to call her that. Literally everyone who's ever met her calls her a super networker. She spent more than 10 years leading corporate and nonprofit events, including fundraising, dinners, walkathons, tech workshops, virtual roundtables, in-person roundtables, international mission trips with the Society of Women Coders. I could go on and on and on. But now she brings her latest expertise to her venture, the Sunset Connect. It's a curated event series designed to foster a meaningful connection through shared experiences in Florida in person. I don't live there. I wish I could. I would be there every single time. She also co-hosts In This Together Roundtable, which is a virtual event for entrepreneurs to grow through community. I attend sometimes when I'm able. It's amazing, and we'll plug it at the end, but I highly recommend it to everyone. So, without further ado, the myth, the woman, the legend, the icon, Miss Esther Deutsch. Welcome to the Founders
Thanks,
Roadmap.
Morgan. What a lovely, lovely introduction.
You
Oh,
deserve it. I can't tell you how many times I've
oh,
talked with just a random person in the middle of nowhere in the country, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, Esther Deutsch." Like, "Oh yeah, I think I'm friends with her on LinkedIn." Like, you're truly a super connector, more than any other person I've ever met in the world. So naturally, we had to have you here. This podcast is about networking, kind of the ins and outs, the icks, the loves, the gross, what happened in the past, what we're headed for in networking, where it's going, where it is. So you're obviously the person for it. So I kind of wanted to start with something a little fun. We asked our guests kind of their personal experience with the topic. So do you have a quick story about kind of your worst networking fail that you've ever experienced?
yeah.
Embarrassing, sad, whatever. I want to hear it. Get the tea.
So I don't know if it's like the worst I've ever had, but I one time joined the wrong Zoom event and I was there for like 20 or 30 minutes and I realized that it was for dog adoption, which
No.
was actually kind of cute, but like I missed my other event that was happening at the same time, but
Did
uh
you adopt the dog?
not at that time, maybe one day though. That is on my to-do list.
Okay, well, you can always go back to it at least.
True, true. Yeah, yeah. It just took me way too long to realize that I was I was like, "Oh, this is cute. Must be like a dog-loving crowd."
How did you find a dog adoption Zoom link that wasn't anything to do with the one you were supposed to be on is my
Probably
question.
through networking. No, I'm just kidding. I
Yeah.
don't even know. Well, okay, I do have a friend who runs a dog, company, like a company for, dogs, so I think it might have been through her. I don't even know. At this point, I don't know where what comes how. It just happens, you know?
Yeah,
You
and
just go with
also,
it.
if there were no dogs on the meeting, I guess I also wouldn't have immediately understood what was happening either. But the second you see a dog on the call, you're like, this is not the place I was supposed to be.
Yeah, it was fun.
I love that. No, I'm gonna need that afterwards. That might help me get through some of my depression. That would be a great meeting to attend weekly.
I'll try and find out for you or anyone else who wants to
Thank
join.
you. Yeah, thank you. We're gonna become like a shelter advocate here. So I kind of want to just jump in because there's really no easy way to start with you since you have such a vast experience with networking. You particularly have been really good at building communities where people actually want to show up. And I can say from personal experience, following in your footsteps is very hard to fulfill that after you've gone. So, what are some of the, I guess, icks, really, the gross things you've seen within networking? And how do you intentionally design like against that? How do you go against the grain so that people really want to show up for you at your events?
So it's such a good question. And from what I've seen, you do an amazing job of this too. But it's definitely an ongoing learning experience. And I would say one of the first things that came to mind with this is when people just like hand out their business card. I do feel like since COVID, it's gotten a little bit better. Maybe just that routine has like has stopped for a while when we went back to virtual and now people aren't as like aggressive. But back in the day, especially, I feel like people would just like hand out their business card to everybody. And like you almost were like collecting cards instead of connections. And that's for me, like, I'm like allergic to that. It just makes me nauseous.
Yeah.
And the other thing I've seen a lot, well, okay, 2 things. Having an elevator pitch like memorized where it's like I don't know if people are familiar with like a BNI and BNI has its place and it's great. I hate when I go to a non-BNI networking event and somebody's giving me their BNI pitch as their hello. Just really kind of turns me off. It makes me think like, all right, like I don't really want to keep connecting with this person. Certainly doesn't make me excited. And
Right.
I think also, it could feel a little bit fake or rehearsed or like they're kind of reading off a teleprompter. And then the third thing that I've noticed is uh people like oversharing or just talking about themselves a lot. And I've learned to like see past that because I think a lot of times it just comes from like a not knowing how to network place. Like it's not
Right.
necessarily a bad thing. It just, in my head, I'm always thinking, like, do you really think I'm going to remember even half of this? And nor do I want to. Like, and I'm sure we'll get into this later, but like when I go to a networking event, I just want to make some two or three good connection. Like if I did that, like I'm gold. Like, I'm not
Okay.
looking to like hear a million words from one person. And if I want to learn more or connect with them after they want to send me information, like that's fine. But at the event itself, there's always one person who just talks for 20 minutes about themselves. And again, I'm not talking about the arrogant people. Like, of course, we all know that's not good. I don't think it's comes from there. It's in some cases, it's just they don't really know or understand that this is not the right place for that. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. And you said something really interesting I've never really considered before because I go to a lot of them, obviously, and it's you go in with the intent to meet two or three people, and that's just kind of like your baseline. Is that sort of a threshold for your own mental health so that you're not burning yourself out at these events?
I was gonna say too, yeah, exactly. I think, let's say a goal could be, and for somebody else, like for me, it might be three. For someone else, it might be one. Like just set a goal of meeting one person and set a goal of connecting deeply with them instead of working the whole room. I think that's also like a myth and something that people kind of try and overdo. The other thing, if you want to, talk about burnout, I feel like you are okay to make a few connections and then leave the meeting. Like, I do this a lot at conferences because I find conferences are amazing, but after there's a few days generally, and I find, after a day or two, the quality of my connection because of my level of burnout or lack thereof is not the same. And so I've learned to go in and pace myself and like choose what I want to engage in and then take a step back. And that's hard. Like, I used to have a really hard time with that because I'd be representing a company and getting paid for it. And I'd feel like I wasn't doing my job if I took a step back. But the reality is that everybody needs to pace themselves. And most people at least get burnout if they don't. So I think that's also key is like quality over quantity. So
Yeah. No, it's funny because that seems so obvious, but I've never actually considered that philosophy at all. And it makes sense because when you talk about your Sunset Connect, you create spaces that have like no pitches, no pressure, no name tags. It's kind of the whole philosophy that you have, and that embodies all of that. Something about that too, when you mentioned COVID, post COVID, pre-COVID, I feel like that is the new way that like millennials, Gen Zers, all these people coming up in the business kind of have to operate, or else we just cannot function with, again, that many business cards, that many emails to send out. It just is overwhelming when in the
yeah.
past it's been like the like businessman attitude of like get to know everybody, get something out of them so they can get something out of you. And that's just not really sustainable anymore.
Yeah, I love that you're saying that. And I actually want to make it very clear because I don't think I've ever expressed it in this way and you're making me kind of think about it. Because people always a lot of times say, like, oh, Esther, like she knows everyone. Like I've heard that a lot. And I want to make it clear on record that like I approach networking not as a quantity game. Like the big amount of people is because I chose quality over quantity over time. And that's part of it. And so the reason I have a big quality network is because I did that. And I would still do it the same way. And I don't need to have this amount of connections. Like I'm blessed and I'm lucky that I do, but it's not my goal. It never was. And I don't think it ever will be. Like it's not about the number. So if you can have a lot of quality ones, great, but everything in quantity builds up over time. So again, it goes right back to like, you're better off focusing on two quality. And if you do two quality at every event, which is really how I got to where I am today, I've been doing this for 15 years. And, at one point I was doing like 5 events a week, but not for a long time, like just to get started. And even one event a week or a month, like it adds up and people don't necessarily think about that. And so you're way better off doing one good connection a month or even a quarter. Because if you do that consistently, it will add up and you will get to more places in the long run. So it's really important point. Glad you brought it up.
Yeah, and I should have mentioned that too. It is important to know that you just didn't do this within the last 2 years and you know everyone. Like you've lived in different places, you've really worked your way through different not worked your way through the different people, but like you have built your way through this version of you as a super networker by actually connecting with people and being memorable, helping them, helping you. It's been like a
It's a
not
journey.
symbiotic relationship, but
Yeah,
a
yeah,
very
exactly.
helpful relationship between 2 people that's meaningful. So, yeah, I
Exactly.
agree. I should have prefaced that, but people should be able to get that from you, I feel like. Another thing that I kinda wanted to ask, sort of bouncing off of that idea, is I don't know if it's still considered one of the best ways to reach out to people. I know I'm being told the same way, but outreach using social media, specifically LinkedIn, is that still the primary source of how you connect with people outside of, say, an in person or virtual event? Myself personally, I hate LinkedIn and everyone tells me to use it constantly. And I try, but for me, it's become a place where it's more of like self promotion and kind of just like sad news all the time and not necessarily used for what I think it used to be used for on the connecting basis. Still sometimes. So I just want to know for you, like how valuable is LinkedIn and social media as tools for like a resource and networking for you these days?
It's a great question. It's a very broad question because for me, it's like LinkedIn is gold and I use it a lot and it's not my primary and it's only a like supplement to what I do outside of it, which is I think why it works for me. But I think you make such a good point. Like I say, that's what works for me. Like one of the number one, keys or rules of networking that I think is to be authentic and not compromise on who you are. And if you're genuine, everything around you is either going to naturally reciprocate or remove itself. I feel this very strongly. And it's the same on platforms and it's the same in real life. And so if you, Morgan, use LinkedIn more, it actually may not work. And it seems like you've already known that. You know yourself and you know it works for you. And that's like key. Like self awareness is step before networking. So for me, now, LinkedIn's very natural. And I think that's why it's been successful. So people could be like, oh, it's LinkedIn. And I would actually say, no, it's maybe not. And I've also found now Facebook actually to be incredibly powerful in certain
Oh,
ways. And I will tell you why. And I say this specifically Facebook groups. I have
yeah.
found that the
Okay.
one
Yes.
part of the one like asset or advantage, one of the only reasons I have Facebook is for the groups. And networking has personally given me, it's funny, I went to make like, I was calculating in my head before this just to prep like the different things that I've gotten from networking, aside from the obvious, great connections. And I like actually had a list of like, and I could list many of like things like matches haven't made. And one of them was my trip to Belize, which came through a networking connection, but that came from a Facebook group and that changed my life.
Wow.
Like, and it's still a big part of my life, and it was, like, 10 years ago, and so there's incredible like, there's a lot of, to your point, garbage, and you kinda have to sift through, but that's how it is in real life too, to be honest, and all the same rules apply where you get what you give out, and if you know good people and then they know good people like, when I go to LinkedIn, I see, like, a ton of inspiration, a ton of, like, really great things, not always, but a lot of the time, so it's almost like your in-person circles are modeled or vice versa, or they can be with your social media, so again, it's very personal. It depends on the business, depends on you. And I think to not be authentic is like the worst thing. Forget like the platform. So if for
Right.
you it's not authentic, then it's just not going to work. So I think you make a really good point that it depends who's listening and what they feel. That being said, sometimes you can find ways to use it that are authentic. I'm not saying totally shut yourself off, or maybe it's using it in different ways than other people. So I don't think there's any right way. That all being said, I use it a lot, and especially for my Sunset Connect events. It for me,
Of course.
that's what gives me the so I use it for personal branding. That's the one reason I think it's very important for people to use it these days because I do think personal branding is more important than ever before. I actually was not a believer in it in the past. I thought it was kind of fluffy and just I don't know, it wasn't for me. I thought it wasn't authentic and I was not interested in that. But these days I think it's incredibly important even for people who are not in like marketing or branding as a career, especially in tech. I gave a talk at MSP GeekCon conference about this, just sharing with techs that like they need to be on LinkedIn. So kind of, giving different perspectives here. And I feel there's a use case for each one. But for me, it's big, and for me, it helps me actually cast a wide net for my events, and then, but I don't sacrifice the quality. So, like, I do send, for example, my events to a lot of people on LinkedIn that I don't know personally, and that's some people would say like a big no no. And it's if I'm reaching out for like prospecting, for example, I wouldn't send a generic ugly I call it ugly message like that to a million people. But because it's an event that I'm inviting into where I see it as I'm giving them value and they can take it or leave it, I'm okay with that. And that allows me to kind of get the word out. But then, right, like it's not just that. And then when those who come to the event are the ones that are like, I bring in closer to my inner circle and nurture those
Right.
relationships. So it's not replacing authentic connection. It's just helping enhance it and create the space to get to that place. So it just depends how you use it.
Do you think those those like mass messages that you're sending to people that you may not know, you're just kind of like shooting it out there and see what comes back. Are you finding more return on investment for people finding awareness or people actually showing up? Like you may not have
Both.
a call to action for that, but like what are you finding that
So
works for that?
actually both, and that's part of the reason, when I started doing it, it was more just to get the word out. And now people are totally showing up, and I'll ask them at the event, like, how'd you hear about it? Or I'll see it on the sign up and they'll be like, oh, I think you sent me a message on LinkedIn. So for me,
Amazing.
it's just starting to open like a recognition but again, it's a much wider net. Like it's a numbers game. So like if I send 100 messages, I get two people who come. So like not everyone
Right.
has capacity to do that. And I get that, but for me, it does work. So just depends.
So on that note, then I guess it changes based on your audience and what you're sending out, where you're sending it from. But what's your go-to like online conversation starter? If you're sending a LinkedIn message to like one of those mass groups, or you're just reaching out to a group of people that you really want them to come to something or you want to get their attention, I fear when I use something like LinkedIn, my main reason why I don't use it is because I sound very sales pitchy. And even if I try to sound really authentic, it just comes off as like, "Hey, I'm using you so you can come to this thing," and I don't really mean it. As opposed to like me sending an email or calling or reaching out or being in person, dropping off flyers, which is my kind of love language of networking. So I'd love to hear your best takes on online conversation and how you do your starter, your elevator pitch.
Sure. I also love that you just said love languages of networking. That's so cool because that's about knowing the other person. And like everyone does have a preferred or some kind of preferred way of connecting. And so learning about them. And some people might love LinkedIn or only use LinkedIn. I do. I have friends, connections. I say they're kind of intermingled now that like I know they only use email, for example. And like you
Mhm.
hit them up anywhere else, they're never answering. You text them, I like their number. So it's a really good point. But as far as messaging, so I will tell you again, I don't think there's one right way. I think there's a lot. It depends what you're asking and what you want. I like to start with a few things, making it about them. It sounds cliche, and I don't think it has to be like, oh, are you struggling with XYZ? Because those also like they just drive me nuts. Because even if I am struggling with it, I'm not gonna. It's like messaging someone like, if you're a psychologist and you're like, "Are you struggling with depression?" Like, even if I wasn't gonna, like, open up to a complete stranger that has said nothing
Right.
to me. In fact, all you've done is just made me shut you down right away and, like, probably block you. That's what I would do. So
Yeah.
don't go right in with, like, that. But I think I like to start with, like, if I've often a lot of my connections come from, like, I've watched a talk that they gave or I saw a post about them that I really like. So I think giving a compliment is, like, a really nice way, as long as it's genuine and you really mean it. Starting with that is great. I hate when people ask for a call the first message. I think people need to stop doing that. I think that used to work because it wasn't oversaturated. I also just want to share that I get asked for calls like probably like 50 a day with people that I genuinely want to talk to and imagine that I would get great value. And I'm like honored that they reached out. It isn't humanly possible for me to have that number of calls per day.
Yes.
So I think you should give value and try and I have no problem. Like it's easier for me to have a back and forth and I'll be transparent. And if I could help them get the product or service they want, I'm happy to do it. And I don't need a call to do it. I think back in the day, it used to be like you needed a call for things to happen. Some people, and maybe it's my age or whatever, especially younger people, I think, really want to help without a call. Now, sometimes you need a call, but let them tell you, hey, this is actually going to take like more time. Or if I jumped on a call with you, I'll learn more. Let them be the one asking for a call. I think like that whole
Yes.
thing needs to stop. There's nothing I hate more, and everyone does it. And it's like, please don't, because super connectors don't have a time for and they don't need to. Like they can help you without getting a call every single time. You probably see this in your networking too. Like sometimes you don't want to have a call, and you know what they do, and you will help them when you can.
Yeah, a lot of it is like, this could have been an email, and then like,
Yeah,
"Hey, I am thinking of you. I promise when this comes along, you will be top of mind. I promise you
exactly.
I will reach out to you. I haven't
Exactly.
forgotten you." Like, we don't need to set up a calendar invite to talk for 15 minutes about something that I don't have
Exactly.
answers to. Yeah, I get that.
It's
And
bad
I
networking.
it's bad networking, and I do think it is just like kind of an old school way of thinking that hasn't really been
Exactly.
clicked off yet.
Here's another one. Can I pick your brain? Do you have 15 minutes? Like,
Yeah.
no. Not in
Here's
that
the
way, but ask me a question and say like, "Can you help me with this?" And I'll jump.
Tell me that, like, you've interacted with something of mine that you know who I am, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, trust me, I still get some of your old emails to, like, a spam account, and I get it. I know how many you have to get on a regular basis because I still
Yeah.
get some of them for you. Okay, well, that's really interesting. I really like that, and it doesn't sound time consuming because 'cause you're not literally having to go, like, find their Social Security number to give them, like, "Hey, I know everything about you." It's a simple thing, and
Yeah.
it shows people that you're paying attention to them, and that's really all people care about.
And one more tip, comment on people's posts, engage with their posts, stop DMing everyone because that's
Yeah.
time consuming for them. And if you constantly engage with someone, they will notice you. And then they're noticing that you care about them and their content. And you help them no matter what. Even if the connection doesn't work out, you're helping their content get further. And if your goal is really to support them, then you should be doing that anyway. So not everything needs a DM.
This is kind of a sidebar, but you just kind of brought something up. How do you feel about follow-ups in the way that, like, maybe you're busy, maybe you just didn't see it, whatever, and you get 2 or 3 follow-ups from someone that really does wanna connect with you. They had a great connection, so you met them at, like, Sunset Connect or somewhere else, and, once a week, they're like, "Hey, just checking in. I really wanted to have this conversation with you. We had such a great vibe, whatever. You reached out here, we reached out there." Is that overdoing it? Like, is that one of those things you're like, "I will get back to you," or do you feel like if that is really a connection, the follow-up consistently is a good thing to do?
I think both. It depends. I love being followed up with. For me, it's the call because
The
that's
call,
something
yeah.
I can't do on my own time. And I've found it, and I'll tell people this, like most people know this already. I'll say like it's really hard for me, to schedule in advance, and it stresses me out. And like I don't want to be stressed when I'm like trying to help. I want to like enjoy and be able to like genuinely give myself, and I can't if I'm thinking like. I'm just stressed about it. So you could like I'm a big texter, email, LinkedIn, and I always one thing I say is I don't wanna say never, but I try hard to never miss a message and I answer. Even sometimes it takes me a while, but I never, like, forget one, and I think that's part
Right.
of also building a big, quality network, but, like, yeah, I think that follow-up's okay, though, follow-up's great. I think the opposite, I think more people need to follow up, and I think that anyone who sends a genuine message, whether it's or a call or, like, even if you that's what I say, "If you care so much and wanna pick my brain, then come to my house," you know? Like, don't, that's creepy, but, like
Yeah, please don't.
But, like, I'm just saying, like, if you really care and you really want my opinion, like, there's like, I
Right.
won't I won't look away if you come to my house, you know? Like, I just maybe I will. Maybe I'll call the cops, but at least you
We're
got
gonna
your
cut this one out. Please don't come to Esther's house.
No, don't come to my house. Absolutely
Please don't.
not. I think people don't reach out enough, and I think they overthink the follow-up too. I'm seeing that a lot.
Yeah.
Like, it's more about the follow-up, like, the touch point than the content, and that's the same about a networking event, and people also miss this. It doesn't really matter what you say at the event. It doesn't have to matter. It's more about just, like, making that connection and then following up and just getting, like, visibility almost. It's like social credibility over time, and that doesn't happen overnight. It's like asking someone to do business with you before they met you, like, just calling them, be like, "Hey, do you wanna use RCS as your IT company?" Like, of course they do, but they don't know that yet, you know? It takes time to build that trust. And so it's actually something that, you all do very well. And clearly over time they learn that they need to. But again, you can't just call them up. Like you would never just call them and be like, hey, can I get access to your servers? Because that's what you're asking someone
Right.
to do virtually, which is crazy. So
I think there are 2 rules that I was given from kind of a networking group that I really don't even like that much because they do feel pushy and I don't feel like I get a lot out of it, but I like the people. And that's a lot of information. But the point is I got 2 tips from that I have taken to heart and it's helped me tremendously. One is follow up within 24 hours. Great. It gets it off my mind. I just send
yeah.
a thank you note. If, even if it's not like a, let's catch up, it's just a thank you note. Like, I learned a lot. Thank you so much. I'm going to follow you on LinkedIn, whatever. The second was that I've kind of forgot the second one already. That was the most important one, and I've
Yeah,
already
but
forgotten the second one.
that's really good, and maybe this will trigger it again, but, like, I think also, like, right after you go to an event, even if you're not a poster, like, that you should post a picture from the event. Doesn't have to be of you, take a picture of the crowd, go to ChatGPT and say, "Make me a great caption for the tech event I went to today." Like, there's no, like it's easy for everyone these days, like, everyone could do it, and then tag people you met, or tag one person you met, or
I'm
tag
going to write
the
that
the
down.
host. Because I think that little things like that, again, over time, I mean, if nothing else, it shows people that you're active in the community. it's something nice that you're doing for the people you met. It's a touch point. Like, that is a follow-up. That's an example of a follow-up, just
Right.
posting. And I think also just, like, sharing something that maybe you talked about that was personal, like a quick email, like, "So good to meet you. I love that conversation," or, "Here's the link." Like, if you tell someone, "Oh, I'll send you a link," like, send it after.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you said mention, like, following up right after. Also, do one more thing and set a follow-up to follow up in a month or 2 months. Like, that's all you really need to do, and that could be a
Great.
quick message. So
Yeah, the okay, so that triggered actually, you did it. The other thing that I was reminded was, manage your expectations. Like, if you meet someone and you're doing, like, just genuinely a good networking event, you really like this person or people you talk to, you kinda wanna just stay in touch with them, even if you know that, like, this is my golden ticket person who's gonna get me business, connections, whatever. If you know that deep down and that's, like, your transaction that you wanna get out of it, which you shouldn't, but if that's it, don't think it's gonna be instant gratification. Like, you're in this to help someone who's going to help you. That should be, like, the transaction you're getting out of it is, like, a very human experience, not so
yeah,
much just financial, right? So, if that's your goal, you're doing it wrong. It should be entirely for, like, the long game, to help each other, to build relationships, to introduce them to other people first, that trust game that you're talking about. Um
100%.
yeah, so the follow-up and kind of the managing expectations of it, I think are what a lot of people, especially in leadership, kind of need to understand about, when their employees are networking or they're networking, what to get out of it.
Very good point. Yeah.
Yep. So, I don't know if you're gonna be able to answer this one, but I just kinda want your opinion on it. So, we've talked a little bit already about, again, pre-COVID, post-COVID, sort of the old days of networking, and now when I used to go in my 20s, it was just kind of, like, fun. There were a bunch of business people there, and again, it wasn't really like I was getting anything out of it. It was just kind of a place to go, like, get free drinks and talk to people and ask, "What do you do?" to every single person I met a whole bunch of times. What do you think this like younger generation of people coming up in the workforce are really wanting from networking events these days? Is it personal connection? Is it referrals? Is it to like try and find a job in the business that we have now or like the economy we have now? What is networking's future, basically?
Love it. We are heading in an amazing direction. Maybe it's thanks to these, millennials and Gen Z. But part of the reason I think Sunset Connect is successful is because of the informal kind of environment that we have. And that's what I want. So I'm cusp millennial, and I want, open space, freedom. I want to feel like I'm in control of my networking experience. And I think that that's a universal theme of the younger generation. At least that's what I'm seeing. I've also noticed that, like, younger people value opportunities to learn something new, like a
Right.
skill or something, or get tips or learn or mentorship. So that's something that I've seen success with incorporating that into networking events, or like uh, I've seen young people be interested in, like, incubator, like, meet and greet with, like, investors, for example, or, like,
Right.
pitch experiences, and especially because a lot of younger generation are entrepreneurial, especially in this country and the states we live in, and, they're looking for opportunities to connect with others like them, but have these, like, fluid conversations with great people. So, I actually love it. I think that this is, like, a very innovative and more fun, like, more enjoyable way to connect, less formal, less like a BNI situation where, everyone has a certain amount of time to talk, and more open and inclusive and fluid. So, that's what I enjoy too, and that's what I've seen.
I agree. Next question was how do you bake the inclusivity and accessibility into like the DNA of an event, specifically like something like Sunset Connect?
It's something that I think we have a lot of room to improve on. It's never really, done. I think we still have a way to go on it. I mean, my hope is that it's natural, and that because we create an environment of certain types of folks with a certain type of mindset and culture of inclusivity, like, that's for me the most important. So my hope is that that is what we create organically through the leadership, first of all, and through the mindset of the group. I'd like to think we're doing a good job, but I think ultimately you want to create a space where people not only feel comfortable, because that's kind of a given, coming
Mhm.
and speaking up, but also that it enables them to, like I'm talking about. So one of my side passions, and this, by the way, came through networking, so it's completely relevant. One of my dearest friends now wrote me into joining a board as an advisor called Destination Accessible. So it's all about accessibility. And I'm ashamed to say I've learned a lot about things I never really thought about for people with accessibility challenges. And so forget the environment, the physical space. There are a lot of things that need to be done so that people can feel comfortable. And there might need to be like different methods of, let's say, visuals and audible, so that if somebody can't see, but they could hear, or they can't hear, they can see. So I think that we all have a lot of room to go. I know we do in that area, but ideally the goal is to have a space where anyone, regardless of their background or abilities, can feel comfortable, and not just to be there, but to be involved and feel like they're able to participate and speak in that environment, whichever way they do.
That's awesome, especially now when kind of that inclusivity, DEI is being shoved down. I think it's important to create those safe spaces, especially because getting people to come out and meet new people is really hard
Really
as it is.
scary. It's
It's
really
scary to
scary.
do.
Yeah,
Yeah. Like going to something by yourself without having a friend there just to meet
yeah,
new people. And it's terrifying. So I think
yeah.
that's really important. And I appreciate and am grateful that you're creating that space for people. So yeah, go to Sunset Connect. It's amazing. Just go do it. So this is going to be kind of a broad question, and you may not have an answer for it, and that's totally okay. But when you're at an event, and like let's say you're kind of you've done the thing for yourself, you've met a few people, you're like I've done it, I've got my follow-ups, I've kind of come here to do what I'm going to do. When you're reading a room and talking to people, how do you help the guests connect when they've just met each other? Like you met someone, you're like, oh, I actually think you'd be great to meet this other person. How do you facilitate those kind of relationships?
Well, first, you got to take a step back and make sure everyone's on the same page that that's what we want to do here. We want to help other
That's
people
true.
get what they want. I know you see that automatically, and I hope I do too, but not maybe not everybody listening knows that that's the goal. So
That's true. That's very true.
let's start there. But I think, like anything, so I have many thoughts, but first, you being authentic is actually, and you being comfortable sharing or being in that space will automatically help other people feel that like energy will translate. Number one. So it's just you being there and being happy to be there and showing up as a leader in that space. And, I'm very passionate about leadership and that you don't need to be in a leadership role to act like a leader, and leaders create more leaders. And that energy is going to help people feel comfortable being there. There's other things that I look at as an organizer, like the space itself. Is there an activity so that to kind of get people warmed up? Like, how are we
Yes,
warming them up? Is there an activity so they're not kind of like forced to talk? That's another reason I like informal spaces, because it allows the people speaking about accessibility and inclusiveness who don't want to just, who aren't comfortable being in a networking event, to still have a place and they don't have to stand there awkwardly. I always have some kind of background music, and people sometimes complain that it's too loud, and could be it is, but I do like a background track because I think it warms people up, and it also makes it that you don't feel like you have to talk all the time. And that's draining, even for somebody like myself who runs
I
events.
agree.
So I think, yeah, you should be able to just be comfortable like hanging out for a bit or taking a break or being on the side and not feel like you're excluded. So looking at the space, I think it's very important as a host as well to make people feel like they matter, that they're there. And unfortunately, it's getting a little bit more difficult as our events grow, and that's just the reality. But I always say this, a company like Disney, for example, they're a massive organization, and yet they understand, and Apple's another good one, that like in making sure every single consumer, which at a networking event is basically the same as your customer, feels like they matter and that they are like being spoken to, and even not physically, but like metaphysically. And it's something I hope to always keep in mind. Like a big organization is made up of individuals at the end of the day. And those are the people they need to feel that even at the level, even at a big scale, there's ways to do it. So I personally, for example, I send, handwritten cards to every sponsor after every event. Ideally, I would do that to all participants, maybe one day or when I get AI in there somehow, but just to make it more feasible. But I do try to also send personal thank yous to every single person who came, text or
Same.
yeah, and I'm saying we're getting 2 or 300 people at an event, and I'm already working on the next one as soon as it's over, if not before. So it's actually not that it's getting harder to do. So I don't do it right away, and I do it over time. But like I try over the till before the next event to like thank everyone who came. So that's another way people feel like they mattered, and they certainly do. And I don't take it for granted that people come once and come again, or sponsor once and they sponsor again, or that they come out. Like I know what goes into it better than anyone.
Hmm.
So
So it's just
Um,
nice to have someone there that cares.
yeah, exactly. And I think, again, the energy and environment is created by the people. And that's another thing people miss. Like, I'm always hyper focused on who's in the room. I don't actually care so much about the venue. All these things enhance, but you have the greatest venue. And I'm sure you've seen this. I've attended events where it's the most beautiful venue. It's so inviting from that standpoint, but the energy in the room is cold.
It's dead. It's
And
just
it's just,
dead.
and I'm like, I don't need anything except great people. Like, that's
Yeah.
what's going to make this event be successful. Just like, again, in business, like the team is what makes the company at the end of the day. Like, of course, you need a product, but in networking, the product actually is the people. So it's actually like it's a double home run. So if you get that right, you really won. So those
It's a
are things
grand
some people learn.
slam even.
Yeah.
Um, all right. So I have only a few questions left,
Mhm.
and then unfortunately you have to leave, and that's totally fine. I
All
could
good.
talk to you about this all day.
I
This
know,
is
me too.
amazing.
Trust me.
So, briefly, I just want to talk about imposter syndrome because I have it. Everyone I know has it. I feel like you're immune to it, but I know you have to have it somewhere deep down. So, like, you've worn many, many hats, right? Social worker, business owner, author, tech leader, board member, all of those things. How do you stay authentic even when you're not feeling like Esther Deutch? You know what I mean?
First of all, I do feel it all the time. And before every event, I get like butterflies in my stomach. And
Do you?
of course, I say
That's
this all the time.
crazy to me.
I do a lot of public speaking too, and no matter what, and that's part of how I overcome it is I've accepted it. I've accepted that I'm going to be nervous. I've accepted that I'm nervous every time and that it still goes great or it doesn't and I learn from it and that's okay too. So like that's number 1. It's like pain. Like you have to just say it's going to happen or like when your hair's done and it's raining out and it's going to get wet.
Don't eat. We
I know.
Curly, we get it. Yeah.
Sorry.
Say no more.
I went there. Like, it's all sucks until you just accept it. It's part of the reason, by the way, I live in South Florida. Those
You're
you
like, I'm sweating.
I
Wonderful.
started wearing my
Great.
hair curly because I was like, it just makes my life better at this point. As
Yeah.
bad as it is for me, I'm like, I can't. I just need to accept the humidity and move on.
For my
Okay.
mental health, my hair is
Yeah.
curly now. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So anyway, curly hair people will get it. But uh so when I do get nervous, it's normal. And that's something I learned too. And I want everyone to know this that even the best speakers, think of whoever you know in your head who's, up there in speaking, they get nervous. Nervous isn't a bad thing. Nervous is fine. It's can you still move forward with the nerves? Now, to imposter syndrome, and I'm really glad you brought this up because I do see this a lot. And first of all, it's a myth that introverts are not good networkers. Some of the best networkers are introverts, and you do not need to be extroverted to network. There is no personality, just like leadership, that suits it better than another. It's not true. In fact, some of the best networkers are introverts because they're often very thoughtful. Yeah. Oh, I didn't even know. See, very thoughtful. They take time, which is actually a good thing. They know how to listen in networking. So this is for everyone. I always say this, networking is for everyone. Another thing people don't realize, and I'm this is not directly related, but I think it is related to imposter syndrome, is everyone thinks networking events, I got to do this, I got to do that. Your coworkers, your clients, your partners are your first network. That is your network. Start there. Like you don't have to go to events to be a great networker. In fact, like the people closest to you can be your strongest relationships. And that's also how I grew my own network is getting deeper with the people already in my circles. Like people don't think of it like that. And it's bad. It's just sad because, you don't have to necessarily put yourself out there in a way that makes you super uncomfortable. That being said, imposter syndrome is still very real. And I constantly, and I try and put myself in rooms that are way out of my league. So, of course, I feel it all the time. I think that's actually really important. And I think
Interesting.
reminding you that yourself, that you're there to learn and connect, you're not there to perform, right? You don't have to have all the answers. You're not expected to. And that's fine. And the other thing that I think is really important is stop thinking about what you lack and focus on what you could give, right? You got to flip the script. And that's what you should be there anyway for. And everyone has what to give, and you don't have to give what they're going to give. Like, you don't have maybe 20 years of experience in private equity when you go to the event. It's just coming to my head first. But that's not what you're there for. You can give a smile, you can give a compliment, you could share with them that they're going to help your career by what they shared, either at the event or after, if you're not comfortable. Like, there is so much. And this is another way that some of my best connections who really push me because they are way out of my league. One of them I've made through someone specific I'm thinking about. Like I just reached out to him on LinkedIn and said, "Hey, I really appreciate your talk." You'd be surprised. Like every time I speak, like I'm not on that level, but it makes my day. Like I feel so good when people reach out. And like I can't
Yeah.
what it does for me. And everyone can do that and everyone should be doing that anyway. But like that's part of networking. And so, you gotta, it's a combination of like knowing your worth and that you do have something to offer and it doesn't have to be exactly that. It's also knowing that like you're not there yet, but they've been in your shoes and you're gonna hopefully be in theirs at some point. And that's part
Hmm.
of the reason why connection and follow up is so important because just because you can't help them now, like they're happy to give. That's why they're there, right? Hopefully they wouldn't be there if they weren't interested in connecting with someone like yourself. So it's okay that you're not where they are. You still have what you give and you can still give in the future too. And the other thing that I think with imposter syndrome that people need to know is that you get confident through action. The more you speak up, the more you volunteer, the more you public speak, that's how you get confidence and that's how you become better and that's how you get over imposter syndrome. There is no other way. You got to go through it.
Fortunately.
Yeah, and so do it, maybe go with a friend. Do it in ways that kind of cushion it, and it's the same with pain and pushing your body and your limits. I'm sure you know, Morgan, with what you do, but, like, you you have to build that up over time, and the most beautiful and blessed way to do it is on your own terms, right? Where you put yourself in they call it, like, controlled is the social work and maybe, like, controlled environments where you actually push yourself, but with support or with a personal trainer.
Yeah.
Speaking of personal training, my personal trainer has a sweatshirt that says, "Shut up, you're just lazy" on the back, and I just love it because it's true. I feel like a lot of people also don't follow up from events because 'cause they're simply lazy, and I'm like,
Yeah,
you know
I've been there. I understand. I've done that too.
Me too, of course, but it's like, am I really, like, imposter syndrome or am I just lazy or afraid
Procrastinating.
or
Yeah.
procrastinating? Oh, don't that's a big one right there.
That's a different
That's a
podcast.
whole other episode. But anyway, I don't know if that, helps, but that's how I see it and think about it.
No, it did. And you said two very insightful things in there that I tried to finish the sentence in my head before you said it, and I was like, "Oh, no, I'm not thinking correctly. It's not what you lack, it's what you give." I immediately in my head was like, "It's what you want." Nope, it's what you give. That's the problem. That's the disconnect there.
I
Yeah,
love
that's
that too, though,
amazing.
what you want, yeah, but if you start with what you give, then you'll get to what you want and give, like, that's how I see it.
Yeah. God, that's amazing. Of course. Of course. And then also the fact that the more you do things, the more comfortable you get, and those kind of people out of your league, or even in your league, whatever, start giving you those compliments, the more response from you becomes less of like a, oh, no, they didn't mean that, like, shut up, to like, wow, okay, thanks. That imposter syndrome kind of starts pushing deeper down as you become more comfortable. And you're like, yeah, I did that. That's great.
Also, Morgan, you make me think of one more tip I wanna just give to people listening.
Please,
Hopefully, it's
please.
practical and helpful. Even if you feel like you're not in a place and it's fine to speak up or share or connect with anyone in a room, start by just going, even going or go to like a event that has like a learning component, which is technically networking. Like a lot of events now they'll have a learning component because people want that and then a networking after. You don't have to stay for the happy hour or whatever, the networking part. You could really go just to listen. And the reason I say that is being in the room with people that are way smarter than you, it will make an impact on you even if you do nothing. And I used to say, don't go to, I used to like get really passionate about this and say, don't go to a networking event if you're not going to follow up. And I totally take that back. And I've shifted my mindset because I think, people hold back of doing anything because they're afraid. And I think I posted a quote about this yesterday on my LinkedIn about how like doing nothing because you're afraid of doing something is like the worst thing you could do for yourself. And you can start small and you should go in with the mindset that one day you will stay for the happy hour or you'll be speaking on stage or whatever and do that over time and your energy and world reality will shift in that direction in some way shape or form but even just to go is something and for some people that takes a lot so that's
True.
my
Yeah.
advice.
This is why she's the queen. So, my last question for you for the day is there one connection that you've made for yourself or for someone else that you're just like so proud of?
So I will tell you, and I mentioned this in the beginning, so it's like full circle here, but things as I was making that list of things that, networking has done for me and more so for the people around me. And that's another thing I always tell people if you don't want to network for yourself, network for your family, for your community, for your friends, because your networking is helpful to them. And so do it for them. But I've made marriages through my events. I've actually
Girl,
I actually, met a new family member. I This is, like, crazy. I still see these things now just happen all the time that I don't even, like, process how amazing they are, but through Sunset Connect, I have met a new family member who lives here in Florida and had access to a family tree that I've never seen before.
that's
So I had
awesome.
a family tree that took me back a few generations. He has the whole, rest of it before that, so it goes all the way back in time. So anyway, I thought that was really awesome. I got my mom a job. I got my sister her first nursing job through it. speaking opportunities. A book came through networking. I mentioned Belize, friendships, confidence, right? Things that aren't, physical things. But the one that I'll also highlight real quick is I currently serve on the board. I mentioned Destination Accessible as coming
Mhm.
through networking, but the one that also comes to mind is I am on the board of an AI startup, and that came through a networking connection. And the reason that networking connection happened was because the two of them were sitting in a coffee shop in New York City, and one said hello to the other, and then I got introduced later on. But, like, it's just a full, like, just network after networking, and that led me to, like, a business opportunity years later that I never saw coming, at all, and then that opened up doors for me as far as speaking in the AI space and just learning more about AI. So it's like, and I'm sure, more will come in the future next time we talk. Well, more stories, but, like, there's just, like, a drop in the bucket of, like, the many things, and, like, I call them my kids, but, like, the people that I've met and have children now through networking, like, you really impact people's lives, and you don't have to host the events just by being there and helping facilitate introduction. So it's a very beautiful and powerful thing that you're all doing, you know?
I think so. Yeah, you're a lot of people's like important points, like their little pin in the map of their life story. And I think that's really important and I don't know, just special, I think, for you to have.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
well, that's honestly all I got for you. And I know you have to go, but is there anything on your end that you want to plug before you leave, before
Cool.
this comes out? Anything that people can reach you, where to find you, what you got coming up?
So I always say the easiest way is LinkedIn. Sorry, Morgan, but that's always the easiest way. You could
I
also
won't talk to you there, but yeah, let's go.
It's alright. We do the real thing, much better. There's also sunsetconnectco.com. So that's if somebody wants a website, it's easy to find. That's the easiest way to reach me or join our networking events. That one's in person. And then virtual is called In This Together Roundtable, as you mentioned. And just so everyone knows, In This Together Roundtable was started while I was with RCS, with the great team at RCS. So really, it's a joint effort and it's still alive and kicking. And definitely recommend everybody check it out. So that's In This Together Roundtable.com.
And we will put those inside the episode description as well so people can have access to it. But that's all I have today. That's a wrap on today's episode of the Founders Roadmap. Huge, 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 huge thank you to the Queen, Miss Esther Deutch, for sharing her
My
wisdom
pleasure.
and proving that networking is an amazing tool and doesn't have to suck. And you can be really, really good at it without, burning yourself out and having to spend your entire life doing it. If you loved today's conversation, please make sure to rate, review, share with your friends, share with your networking groups, share with a friend who needs a networking glow up. I don't know. And don't go too far because we've got another episode coming your way, packed with more insights. You don't want to miss another great guest. And until then, keep building, connecting, networking, and we'll see you on the road. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Morgan. Thanks, Alex.